Thank you very much, NICP, for inviting me again after several calls to make sure that I get invited. So thank you, Jared. Thank you, Jared, because he was the one responsible for taking my pictures. All right, so let's go to our panel. But before we go to our panel, I just want to say thank you again to Attorney Giselle. I had the privilege of being part of RISE last year and got to visit several places in the Philippines, including Koronadal last year. So it's a pleasure to be here for the continuation of RISE. Let me call on my first panelist. He's a systems architect, cloud solution expert, and digital transformation leader with 15, not 150, years of experience spanning enterprise IT, education tech, and public sector innovation. Currently, he is the Vice President for Technology at ULAP Digital Corporation. He leads the development of enterprise platforms that power over 200 institutions across the Philippines. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Jumen Albert Repollo. My second panelist is the Executive Director and Chief AI Ethicist. Let me say that again. Chief AI Ethicist of Data and AI Ethics PH. He advocates the responsible and human-centered use of artificial intelligence in society. He's also a writer, certified human-centered coach, and educator who teaches creative writing at the Ateneo de Manila University. He served as CEO of Puma Podcast, the Philippines' pioneering podcast production company, where he led its growth into globally recognized storytelling platforms. The script was printed, not designed for a senior. And through his advocacy and artistry, our panelist continues to shape conversations in technology, culture, and ethics in the digital age. Please welcome Mr. Carl Javier. Among the thorns in my panel, she's a data scientist specializing in applied cryptography and cyber forensics. I can't even spell those words. She co-founded the research and development company Layertech Software Labs in 2017 and remains as its president. She's a staunch advocate for inclusive digital transformation and has led research, design, and inclusive tech deployment projects covering over 25 countries, many of which receive recognition locally and globally. She received her Master's of Science from the University of Liverpool with dissertation on the use of AI to detect digital money laundering for financial intelligence units. And she did it all at the age of 25. Ladies and gentlemen, Ms. Frei Sangil. And for those of you who are involved in financial intelligence, be warned, Frei is here. And finally, my last panelist is a full professor of engineering and the current dean of the College of Engineering at MSU Gensan. He holds a BS in Electrical Engineering from MSU Gensan and both an MS and PhD in Computer Science from De La Salle University, Manila, specializing in AI and computer vision. With over 3 decades of academic and professional experience, he serves as a project leader of the Icebox TBI, a researcher and technopreneur, IT consultant and developer specializing in business and intelligence systems. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dr. Noel Guman. house cast here. I feel like I'm the stupidest person on stage, but we'll have to make do. All right, let's start off with the elephant in the room, AI. Right? Carl, let's start with AI. I mean, everybody's talking about it. Everyone's talking about how jobs are gonna get lost because of AI. Give us the dirt.
Hello. Hi. I think want to acknowledge now there's a lot of fear around the technology, and it's fair for us to be afraid because there's very little understanding around it. And so the number one thing is really education, familiarizing ourselves with the tech. We've actually reached a point where we have a technology that feels like magic. That's the old sci-fi thing, yung if you encounter a technology that you cannot fathom, magic na siya. And so the first step is to remove this magical feeling of it, because the magic also creates uncertainty, creates fear. And so I think when it comes to jobs, because that does feel like, almost every day you see some headline where people are being laid off or people are being replaced or something like that.
Sorry to interrupt you, but is it really happening? Are people really losing their jobs because of AI?
Well, I'm not sure how much here, but very clearly in certain Silicon Valley companies, they're aggressively cutting staff. I think the impact is going to happen, and what we're going to need to build is sort of a transitional space so that people can be upskilled. There are certain jobs that will disappear. Like we'll lose these jobs because this this technology is powerful enough to hand those off. And the thing is, it's not just minimum wage jobs. It's all across the value chain that AI will affect it. But that's the thing is, then humans can occupy higher value positions in the value chain. And so that's what we need to be imagining. And we need to be building cushions. Sure, unfortunately, jobs will be lost, but new jobs will be created within this space.
Yep, and if I just may share, 2 years ago, IBM retrenched 8,000 people globally because of AI. But in the same 2-year period, they hired another 10,000 people doing higher value jobs. All right, so yes, there is a threat, but there's an opportunity. Doctor, I want to segue to that very quickly because the presentation of Attorney Giselle talked about regional development, but talent development as well. You're here, you're in Mindanao, you're in MSU Gensan. How do you see MSU Gensan, for example, or the academe help bridge that gap in terms of skills and knowledge?
Thank you for that, Sir John. We in the university, we actually recognize that there is that gap. There is a mismatch with the skills and knowledge of our graduates with that of the needs of the industry. So that is why, related to my being the project leader of Icebox TBI, we are seeing, pero actually the solution is not, is quite related to what we do with Icebox, but one way of directly addressing the problem is, of course, one is to call for a stakeholders meeting that involves the industry so that they could share to the university what really is their needs with regards to the skills, knowledge, and attitudes that they require from graduates of the university.
So, Dr. Noel, we could take advantage of you meeting these 3 people in the panel today to be your stakeholders and provide you with the inputs. Because moving to Jumat, you're with ULAP, right?
Yes, sir.
two-sentence description. What does ULAP do?
We provide solutions for local businesses that brings in innovation, AI, and automation to help them process or to help them streamline their processes.
Now, you've been based in Manila for several years. But
Yes, sir.
you set up ULAP here in Coronadal. Why is that?
Yes, sir. It's also giving back to the community. This is ULAB is the first and only software solutions company here in South Cotabato and maybe in Mindanao.
I think that deserves a round of applause. Talk about bringing the jobs back here and taking advantage of the talent.
Yes,
But
sir.
I'll ask you the million-dollar question now for Dr. Noel to address. What's the biggest gap in terms of skills that you're encountering having a software services company here in Coronadal?
Actually, I've seen a big gap between the academy and the technology that we are using in the software development process. So there's really a need for an integration or maybe a audit with the academy to ensure that the academy is also on par with what is being used in the industry.
And it sounds nice, but let me tell you, when I joined the BPO industry 20 years ago, we're already talking about the same thing. And technology moves so fast that something that you were teaching 2 years ago is now obsolete. How do we bridge that, sir?
Well, the various curriculum of the university now for various programs that we offer, it is undergoing continuous enhancement. So that is why it's really good that the industry is always consulted on a regular basis. It's also bad for us in the university to get impressions that we are producing graduates that do not match the skills required by the industry. So instead of doing that, I suggest that there should be a very close relationship between the industry and the university. That's why me, as being the Dean of Engineering, I always ask the industry, because most of the employers, or I should say holding managerial positions in various industries in Gensan, there are many MSU alumni now holding those positions. So I always ask them, what's the problem with our graduates? And that's what we consider, their inputs to us, that's what we consider in revising our curriculum. But what I find that is most appropriate is really to call for a stakeholders meeting to really gather that inputs in one setting.
So we will always talk about academe-industry collaboration. Right here's a perfect example. But let me just add another part to that equation. Who else from the academe is in this group today? Do you have any other people from the academe? There you go. What school? What university? Please? I'm sorry, I can't hear. Here's the mic.
Our school in Rojas City is called, it has the TBI, Digital Business Training Center.
All right, Rojas City. How about that table over there?
Hello po, good morning from Sultan Kudarat State University.
All right, so we have at least two, right? Here's the question. Are you facing the same challenges that MSU, Dr. Noel, is facing? Or have you found some of the answers? Because tying it to what Attorney Giselle was talking about earlier, we need collaboration, not just with the stakeholders or the industry and academia, but across academia, right? So I won't expect an answer now, but maybe after this panel, if you could just shake hands with the rest of the academia and we can start the ball rolling in terms of collaboration. That works? Right. Thank you for for volunteering already. All right. Frei. Frei is the one that scares me the most because she's so young, but has this profile that's so impressive. But we keep on talking about artificial intelligence. And a critical aspect of AI is the learning models, right? Because it continues to improve and learn. But if you don't have the right data to start it off, is it useless?
Oh, absolutely. By the way, before
I love the way she replied to
before
that.
I answer,
Can
so-
we replay that?
matanda na po ako, maliit lang. But anyway, going back to Sir Jo Marie's question, I would say yes. Kasi we are all talking about technology, AI, and all these amazing things. They are, honestly. But at the end of the day, ano ba yung kinokonsume nila for them to work? Data. Diba? It's like fuel. Pag may sasakyan ka, kahit ang ganda-ganda niyan, pag finid mo ng data na bulok, will it work? Hindi. So, I know Sir Jo Marie and some of my friends here are already very sick of this, but I think it's worth repeating over and over. Always remember, GIGO. Not the bad word, GIGO. Garbage in, garbage out. Many organizations or even the most advanced sa Asia Pacific region that we're working with, they immediately jump into, oh, gawin natin to. This is being done in Singapore. Pero ang pangit ng data. So nagsayang lang sila and then wala. So definitely at the end of the day, it's about your data.
No, I'm glad you said that because like Governor Tamayo earlier talked about how here in South Cotabato, they're coming out with their electronic medical record system, right? That starts the data, right? So are they taking the right steps in the right direction? Yeah.
Are they taking the right? Well, I think yes. The mere, at least based on what I know so far, or what I've heard, having that data center is already a major step. In fact, I have to applaud it kasi many organizations would go straight into smart city without investing in data. So if they are starting with that, then I think that's going to be a very important investment.
So let's make it interesting because you've had the experience of dealing with a lot of cities on this one without mentioning the name of the city. Can you give me one example of they did it right and why and how, and give me another example of they did it the opposite way? Pwede naman natin itago na lang sa pangalang, hindi, wag na lang.
Pangalan?
Hindi. Give me an example. What city, you've seen a city, for example,
Oh, yeah,
who
yeah.
did not do it the right way.
Oh, okay. I will not mention the name, mahirap na. Baka mawalan tayo ng trabaho. But actually, there's this local government in the Philippines. We're working with a very prestigious business organization. Ito example of what they did right. So what they did is before jumping into creating their own smart city initiatives and adopting AI, the first step they did was to convene the stakeholders. So like what Yusek said, magic. So they used MBC, Makati Business Club. They did the Digital Democracy Project. They called CSOs and they made sure that every barangay, kahit yung mga nasa rural areas, were properly represented in the consultation. So they did a series of consultations and from there, dun sila nag-build ng kanilang data strategy. And even though it's just a couple of years, we've been doing research. So far, they're doing well. Dahan-dahan, slowly but stable. On the other hand, ingat ako baka may masabi ako, there's this, okay naman, the intention is there, but they immediately just hired consultants from Singapore, and then the consultants did not even try to consult people like, sino ka ba? O, di ba? Ako nga tinatanong, where's your PhD? Anong karapatan mo na nandito ka? And if you look at it, the consultants are all from outside the region. Di ba? So, paano niya malalaman yung problema nung context? So, I think the first mistake that you will do is to assume that what will solve your problem are people from outside your region.
Who will charge you an arm and a leg for being a consultant?
Yeah.
Thank you. I mean, I really like hearing that because that's also my pet peeve. Okay? Now you can hire me, but that's another story. No, but Carl, we've got several cities represented here today. Oh, don't say, oh, I just heard what Frei is talking about. But, and okay, don't just get these consultants from all over without really understanding. But how do I go about it?
So I wanted to react first to the idea of medical records being available, and it's actually great if you think about kahit saan ako, pag tinakbo ako sa ospital, ma-access na yung records ko. So interoperability, great. But then that provides multiple attack surfaces. So that means that you need to be able to protect that data. Right? And this is where maybe jobs get created. Is you need data privacy, you need data management, you need cybersecurity to make sure that those things are in place so that you're serving properly. So dun pa rin babagsak yung infrastructure. Right? This idea that if we are going to make the transition to AI, and again with the advocacy of responsible AI, we need to be building it in such a way that it's an entire tech stack. So it's the boring parts. Which I like. I like the boring parts of building because those are the things that people might take for granted. And that's why it's actually not great to just hire a consultant. You need to be building internal capacity. Hindi pwedeng
Wait,
mag-build ka ng
could you
system
please repeat that because I think that's very important. It's not just a matter of hiring consultants, but
internal capacity.
build internal capacity. Because if you can't do that, the moment the consultant goes out, that's it.
Ayun, or hawak nila. And
Right.
then that consultant themselves is an attack surface.
Correct. ULAP, can ULAP help guide, support cities in that journey?
Yes, of course. Within ULAP, we already have champions and talents who specializes in this cybersecurity, data cleanliness, and the transformation of data. So, for academes, partnering with academes and having their students intern with us, then they would be able to be trained and to be groomed in such a way that how it is being applied in the industry.
And Dr. Noel, how about from the academe perspective? I mean, the mindset is that, okay, in the corporate world, we can do it this way. But is there a solution or part of the solution coming from the academe?
Well, before I'll answer that, I agree with Ms. Frei with the consultative approach, and I also agree with Carl na to develop our internal capacity. For me, no, sa startup development, we're very aware that design thinking is very important. And the part of the first stage of design thinking is empathize. Kasi yung concept ni smart city is not a one-size-fits-all concept. Ibig sabihin, yung smart city na gusto mo sa isang lugar is pwede ibang klaseng smart city. Although lahat ng smart cities may common features. Pero you really have to design your smart city on a specific environment.
Because
that
if you
is why-
don't customize it, it's not smart.
Yes, kasi we know, no? We know na there are smart cities na they claim they are smart cities, but we see that the people are suffering. Yun yung sinasabi na we really have to consult. Kasi nga, ito ba yung, let's say, the people, no? The people. We have to really consult them if this is the kind of smart city that they want. So that's what I'm trying to say.
And thank you. I mean, I like all your inputs, but here's my question. If I'm in the audience right now, one thing that I may be thinking of is, yeah, but how long is that gonna take? Right, Carl? What do you think?
So, answering both, no? Because, so we got this questionnaire, and the first question is, what are the applications that I foresee? And what I want to bring across is, I shouldn't be the one. I can facilitate the design workshops, but what the correct applications are will be defined by the cities, LGUs, stakeholders, citizens.
Based on what the city needs. Right?
Yes. So how long is it going to take? Longer than it is going to take to choose an AI software and go, eto na yung gagamitin natin. That's the real work. And I think that's what we need to understand is, at this point, technology isn't the problem. The technology is there. It's ready. You can go to Hugging Face and start implementing if you like. But what you actually need is change management and leadership. This is again the boring stuff of you have to convince people to start using the technology.
No, but it's so interesting. We started talking about artificial intelligence as putting it into the picture. The reality is that it all goes back to basic management principles, right? And AI is just the technology that you use to make these things work.
Exactly.
Right? So please keep that in mind because it is not gonna happen overnight. Right? So be patient. Okay, I think we have time to get a couple of questions from the audience. Do we have any questions from the audience? So hard with the spotlights. Any questions from the audience? There you go, sir. First question. Thank you, ma'am.
Hi, good morning. Karen Hapok Lakadin here of Bukidnon. I'm actually here on behalf of Director CT Rama Alawi of the ICT Region 10. So, as one of the ICT Industry Development Bureau focals of Mindanao, yes, hello. One of the challenges that we face is, and this is I think raised several times already, it's the lack of enough personnel in the local government unit, IT personnel, to perform the daunting task of LGUs to, establish their own capacity. So, as champions of this industry, how do you think the LGUs should work on or start to build their own ICT industry from within? Thank you.
Who wants to take that on first? Difficult question. All my panelists started staring at each other. Go, Carl.
Oh, well, we give training. Like shameless plug, no? Yeah, but it's not necessarily us. Actually, that's what was identified in the earlier presentation. A lot of capacity building needs to come into play. And it needs to happen at multiple levels. So you need champions at the top who will endorse training, who will green light funding for this training, who will allow staff to get off of their DAU and get onto this. And the thinking has to be, it's not just magtatapon tayo ng one guy and that one guy or one girl is the AI guy. Ganon. You need to have champions that will be distributed across the LG, across each unit, and they're the ones who are advancing possible projects. So it's going to be a long-term game with a lot of investment, but we need to be able to see that those investments are really going to pay off in terms of efficiency, service delivery, and overall happiness for your constituents.
But I think the challenge of the LGU is that you're talking about resources and money.
Yep.
And the LGU might say, but I don't have the money. Or I don't have enough money, right? Frei, from your experience with all the cities that you've dealt with,
Yes, actually, nasaktan ako doon kasi we are working on the public data analytics program. So this has been going on for about 5 years now. And we've been helping LGUs utilize or draw value from the data. And that's the first problem they have. Wala kaming IT or nag-resign si IT, ganon. Tapos pag nawala na yung bagong local chief executive, bago na naman. So what worked for us, at least if I may share, is we help them establish partnerships with their local academe. In fact, magandang resource yung academe kasi they have the experts. May mga faculty sila, may mga estudyante na kailangan ng research, mag-produce. So you just have to establish really good terms of data sharing agreements, publications, and it's essentially sort of free or cheap work, and at the same time, local pa. So naintindihan ng mga estudyante yung context. So I think that's the important strategy.
Is there a city in the Philippines that you've worked with that implemented it that way and would potentially be willing to share their experience with other cities?
Oh, since we're in Mindanao and nandito si Sir, I would like to, yung voluntold, kasi hindi niya alam to. So we are partners with MSU IIT. Yon. So we've been partners.
Darwin is here.
MSU IIT, meron ba? Yan. So shout out. So we've been partners with them for about 3 years now on public data analytics. So if volunteer ko na sila, you can go straight to them, si Ma'am City, and then they're actually certified to conduct the public data analytics training for LGUs.
Thank you very much. And Dr. Noel, that's part of the MSU family, right? Okay, so we have an endorsement. We have another question. Go ahead, please.
Hello. Hello, good morning. I'm Nabil po from the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao. Would like to address at least a recommendation po, maybe from Layertech Software Labs, no? In regions like BARM, no, where data gaps and limited digital infrastructure still exist, no, considering the context of our region, what steps should be prioritized? Can you recommend a step, no? Where can we start to build a culture of data-driven governance and decision-making?
Wow. Yeah, sorry, the question wasn't very clear. Sorry, the sound was not very clear from the stage. Could you repeat the last question, the last part?
And a recommendation po, I mean to prioritize for us to build a culture of data-driven governance and decision-making.
How do you build a culture of data-driven governance and culture building?
Considering the gaps, no? Considering the gaps of limited digital infrastructure in the region.
Yeah. So how are you, if I got this right, with the echo kasi, so you're asking what are the steps you can take to build a culture sa LGU level ba of data appreciation given the limited infrastructure? So 2 answers. The ideal answer, the good answer that I want to share you is, of course, you can start what we call the bibingka approach. So bottom up, top down. Kaya siya bibingka, parehong sides. So definitely you engage with civil society organizations, you help build a demand. Kasi yung government natin, yung government natin, hindi naman siya basta-basta mag-a-allocate ng funds if hindi niya nakikita yung demand. So, demand, you generate the demand for a more data responsiveness sa leadership natin. So, that's one. And then second, of course, ito probably role na to ng mga champions na we also find champions from the government to help us kasi definitely kailangan pa rin natin ng infrastructure. Kasi kahit anong ready tayo kung walang internet, brownout, wala, no? Diba? So I think as from the ground, we have to demand and hold our leaders accountable. We demand, kailangan natin to. We tell them, we work with them. And if you're in the decision making naman, you listen to your people and from there you prioritize kung ano yung uunahin.
And for those of you who are listening to Frei right now, and we're thinking of, could we use her? They suddenly got scared of what she just said. Okay? She may be small, but she looks terrible, right? That's why she's successful. Dr. Noel, how about
Sir?
from an academic perspective? Sorry, go ahead.
Also to answer din yung gaps in terms of infrastructure. So we at ULAB, we partner with different companies to also to provide this infrastructure. Like for example, for now we are one of the authorized dealer of Starlink here in Mindanao. So we provide Starlink Enterprise Edition, which provides you faster speed and higher priority in terms of connection. So you can reach out to us, and maybe we can have a discussion on what would be needed and part of the gaps that is within your local LGUs.
Dr. Noel, how about from your academic perspective? How do you do that? How do you build that culture?
Well, I hope I got that right, no? About the question is about data-driven governance. Well, in the academe, one approach is through research. Kasi, when one time we called for a stakeholders consultation meeting, the head at that time of the city planning, he's been telling us that we have a lot of money in the city, but what are you engineering people doing? For example, the case of flooding in the city. Sabi niya is, why don't you develop solutions for that? Well, one answer is because we do not have the data. We cannot just design solutions without data. Data like waterways, something like that. Data about what's happening when there are rains. So wala tayong mga weather-related data for a certain, let's say for a year na data. Wala tayong ganon. So this is what I'm trying to say, that through research, MSU can contribute to gather this kind of data.
And thank you. And I think the key words that I picked up from what you just said, a year's worth of data. For data to be relevant, it's not just 1 week's worth, right? So yes, it will take time, but yes, you need to build that culture, right? Carl, what do you think?
Yeah, so I want to approach this from a very simple level. And again, it's not a technology-based thing to change the culture. It's going to have to be one, leadership buy-in, but one of the challenges that we're seeing is leaders will say, okay, we are going to be an AI-driven company now. And that doesn't mean anything. Or leaders will buy a bunch of licenses for AI products and then hindi ginagamit ng employees. And so if you're a leader trying to manage this change, you need to identify influencers in your organization. And you bring those influencers in and you have them testing. And they're sort of like an isolated cool group. And they start showing off what they feel their new superpowers are because they're using these AI applications. And the other people will start to realize that that might be something that they could benefit from. And that's where it begins. It has to begin with a level of curiosity, and you have to find the right people to advance this within your organization.
So you need to utilize your community and find those people who have the passion to make things work.
Yeah.
I think we have time for one more question before we run out of time. Over there, please. Thank you.
In relation to the question of ma'am earlier, so in relation to internal capability building, I am from the Human Resource Department in an LGU, handling the IT section in our office. So one observation at the same time recommendation is to increase the salary grades of computer programmers in the government. As of now, Computer Programmer 1 is the entry level for computer programmers in the LGU. The salary grade is 28,000 pesos. if we compare it to the private sector, masyadong malayo po ang difference. That's why yung mga magagaling mag-program, usually the government or the LGU, is not lucrative for them to apply or invest in. So our suggestion is, may we recommend to the Civil Service Commission to increase the salary grades of computer programmers para naman at least mga 40,000 pesos or whatnot ang entry level para mas maraming mag-apply na capable of doing programs. The other professions such as mga police, nurses, psychologists, associations were able to rally the increase of salary grade of their respective profession. Why not us also in the ICT of the LGU? As an LGU, we cannot rely on the academe forever po. Yun lang. Thank you.
Baka si Vice Mayor might have an answer. No, I'm just joking. Carl, go ahead.
No, I have a question.
Basically, he's saying that the salary grade of programmers today at the LGU level is very low.
Can I?
Yes, go ahead.
I'll start, but
Oh,
maybe
thanks,
our
Mike.
panel can also. Thank you for that question. I think that's very relevant, no? But on the other end of the spectrum, we cannot rely on government to just increase the salary to have an interest or to provide the interest for our Filipinos to want to help the country. What do I mean? There are other LGUs who have been successful in retaining talent to develop their own IT infrastructure, IT programs, and these are they are present in our eGov awards. So what I'm saying is maybe instead of relying on the government to increase the salary so we can attract talent, maybe we should be attracting the right kind of talent, meaning the talent that wants to give back, the talent that wants to help the Philippines, the talent that wants to help see their own city grow. We cannot compete with the international market. I mean, we've tried. If we raise the minimum wage, there will always be a country who will pay more. So it's a never-ending cycle na okay, pataasan na lang tayo ng sweldo. But I think we just have to find the right Filipino talent who wants to also serve their community, serve their country, so that they can help improve. But I do not disagree with what you're saying. But what I'm saying is that path will be a long and arduous road that maybe we also don't have control over. So let's focus on things that we can control, which is find the right talent that wants to help us. Like Frei. Frei could have easily worked abroad for probably 5 times the salary. But she loves the Philippines, she wants to help. So we just need to find more people like Frei, the small and terrible kind. So that
We'll
they
have
can
to
help.
build 20 frames.
Yeah. So that's my input.
Yep.
Maybe I'd love to hear it from the
No,
panel
but
also.
before we hear from the rest of the panel, we have 2 guest panelists, Attorney Sige and Amor Maclang. Go ahead, please.
Thank you. I just want to give justice to the questions kasi these are real questions. Dito yung parang canned questions because these are really happening on the ground. So yung first question, LGU, that the need for LGUs to be capacitated. That's really very important. We need to have champions inside the local government. We need to change the culture na parang pag may na-achieve tayong skills certification, it's an achievement. We must make it a requirement. We must make it a requirement. If you are going to serve your local government, for example, either in an elective or appointive position, you have to somehow skill up yung digital competence, no? So, ang answers ko are always information sharing. Please remember, RA 11927, Republic Act 11927. It was passed in 2022. Half of the law I actually helped craft, kaya memorize ko. And you know what we are celebrating this week? This week, 3rd week of June, is the National Digital Competitiveness, National Digital Workforce Competitiveness Week. How many of you know that? Ako lang ang nagse-celebrate ng sarili kong batas. And yet every day, we complain about poor quality of talent. But that law, for all the LGUs here, that could be your basis for COA. Because it actually mandates local government to skill up, to create digital skills inventory, to create co-working spaces, to create an ICT skilling. Alam nyo, kahit anong mali ng government, ang pinaka talagang dapat nating rely on is the policy. Walang makakaalis ng Republic Act na yan eh. Kasi iba yung mga Republic Act na pinagkakaguluhan ngayon eh. Yung mga walang kwentang batas, yun yung pinagkakaguluhan ngayon. So ang suggestion ko, please work with your local government units. Tell them to increase the digital workforce competitiveness of your local government units.
Attorney Giselle, sorry to interrupt, but is that a call to action to the ICT councils as well? Because they're the ones who are in touch with the local government units in the respective areas.
Yes, it's a call to action of our tripartite platform, which is the ICT Council. Pero ako, when I started Benefit in 2004 in Bacolod, wala siyang one size fits all, sabi nga ni Sir. The ICT Council can be driven by a strong leader from the academe. The ICT Council can be driven by a strong leader from the local government or from the industry. So, simulan nyo lang. Wag nyo sabihin na, ay, wala kaming ICT Council. Just start, maybe gather 5, 6 people to just say, we want to create the future we want for LGU. Okay. Second, ang question kay Frei ng BARM. Alam nyo, gusto ko talagang tumulong sa BARM. Maybe now that I'm in the private sector, I can help out BARM, no? Meron kaming PDA ni Frei, hindi public display of affection, public data analytics. So, ang pilot namin is in Bacolod on June 30. We will be training city planning and development officers and municipal planning and development officers and provincial planning and development officers. Nahihiya si Frei mag-advertise, but ako na lang. Ako naman yung manager niya. We will be training them first to assess their data maturity level. Kasi don't you know, your LGUs are sitting on a wealth of data. Kung may nanganganak, kung may namamatay, lahat alam. Ulam lang yata natin ang hindi alam ng ating LGU eh. Lahat na alam nila. And these are not welded and utilized as public data. So it's part of our D4D, isinimulan ko rin ito sa DICT, Data for Development. We need to use data as the new soil. Yon. So, kung sinong gustong magkaroon ng PDA sa kanilang provinces, contact me and Frei. Yon. One province at a time. And then, finally, the question of the gentleman at the back. 33 months lang ako sa national government, but I have memorized the salary grades. You know, yung pinaka-secretary lang, yung nagta-type lang, nag-i-encode, nagre-receive ng mga letters, SG11 siya. Mga nasa 35,000. And I am really shocked for a software programmer to receive 28. Mali eh. Mali siya. Especially now that we have a problem in the quality of our software programmers. So, saan yung nagsuggest nito? Taas ang kamay mo. I will take on that crusade. We will rally for the increase of salary grade for software programmers in the Philippines. That's the only way we can retain them. Kasi ang 28,000, sa totoo lang, konting taas lang yan sa sweldo ng drivers. Although driver is not, hindi ko minamata ha, pero ganun ang sweldo sa national government. Kahit mga utility, mga drivers. And we need software programmers. We cannot treat them as a utility. So, we are about to enter the 20th Congress next month. Sige, maglabi tayo. Isabay ko siya sa lobby natin. 5 years na ako naglalabi to amend the local government code to put and institutionalize an IT officer in every local government unit. Kasi since the local government code was created, nakamandate ang city veterinarian, city agriculturist, city cooperative officer, pero walang city ICT officer. Kaya puro job order ang ating mga IT professionals inside the LGUs. It's now time to acknowledge that we need ICT officers na talagang professional ang level in every local government unit. So, thank you.
Wow, thank you. That's very inspiring. Amor, you wanted to say something?
Yes, magandang umaga po. My name is Amor Maclang, Digital Pilipinas and International Digital Economies Association. It's probably more of a question to all those working with LGUs. Sadly, the COA, napakagandang introduction ni Yusek Giselle, the COA has probably been the bane of any innovative local government chief executive. So hindi po tayo nagko-complain. It's really more of siguro NICP could come up with a lobby. We'll be happy to work on it with you as well. Pero kailangan natin ng pilot. Bakit? Ang procurement system natin. Naiintindihan ba nila na halimbawa ang cloud procurement ay modular? Di ba? Na it grows and expands according to need. Wala po kasing ganun sa procurement. So nahihinto po kahit sinong magaling na local chief executive dahil po pag gumawa sila ng ganong bagay na naaayon sa teknolohiya pero hindi naaayon sa procurement at sa COA, pwede po siyang makulong. So ano po kaya ang pwedeng rekomendasyon ng ating mga speakers, and maybe the NICP can also take it up as a point of lobby as well. Salamat po.
Excellent question, and don't get me started with COA, but anybody from the panel? Yes, Frei, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you for the question. Actually, totoo yan. We've been working with PhilJeps, with DBM, I think 2018 when we started dun sa PhilJeps modernization and open contracting. So definitely, kahit kami, nung nag-uumpisa pa lang yung company ko, that's the major part. How are we going to procure cloud services? Hindi nag-i-issue nung resibo na may wet signature. So, naintindihan ko naman na, you know, we have to look at this both ways. So first, yung government kasi also it needs the checks and balances, kaya medyo matagal sila because it's public funds. So ayoko naman sabihin tanggalin natin yung checks and balances kasi it's gonna open the space for corruption. So there is check and balances. Siguro ang panglaban na lang po natin as nag-iingat ako civil society organizations, we work with champions like NICP, like USEC, palakasin natin yung lobby. So kapag may mga meeting sila, umattend tayo, let's voice it out, let's document it. That's one. And second, siguro, dito na papasok yung role ng digitalization. So hindi man natin mabilis mabago yung policy-wise kasi maraming dadaanan yan, at the very least, we can make the systems faster. In fact, we did this automated procurement. I published this. So in-automate lang namin yung procurement and we were able to speed it up, the entire process, including yung pagbayad sa contractor for approximately 40%. So if you're interested, just give us an email. We can share it with you.
Yeah, sorry. Could you, so, Frei, you're talking about you could share that study that you created to help speed up the process, right? So please reach out to Frei after this during the break. She'll be willing to share it with all of you guys. Oh, time's up. All right. One last. May pahabol pa. Go ahead.
Yeah, regarding the ICT officer in the local government units, as mentioned by Attorney Josel, I'm very proud to tell you that in Cavite, we have one department, the Provincial ICT department, which is headed, of course, by a department head. That's the reason why we have with us 8 members of the PICTO. We call it the PICTO, the Provincial ICT Office. So this was created, of course, by our former governor, who is the ILG secretary now, John Vic Remulla. He is a great patron of ICT development. So thank you.
Thank you, Tita. And yes, please, if the point of Attorney Giselle in her presentation earlier is that the key to the success of RISE is collaboration. If you're already doing something in your location that has helped you and can help other cities and municipalities, please share that knowledge and experience. Okay, just to wrap up, go ahead, Carl.
Habol lang ako ng one idea for implementation to not necessarily get around, but so that you can pilot in advance, is to try to build sandboxes. So LGUs can initiate sandboxes, or departments can initiate sandboxes, so that you can operate within specific parameters. So hindi naman siya parang you're totally free, but you can explore that idea.
Because things cannot just happen overnight, and sometimes it's such a big thing.
Yeah,
So,
and
cutting it into smaller pieces,
ano na?
cutting it into smaller pieces like a sandbox will help.
Yeah, the idea of the sandbox being that you can isolate specific activities and pilot programs there, so that if a failure happens within the sandbox, you're still just testing and it's not going to affect the larger operations of like hindi ka makakasuhan, basically, it's sinasabi mo kanina.
All right. So, last words from my panel. Based on our conversation today, we started with AI, but I love how it just kept on moving. But the bottom line is we want you to walk away from this discussion with something that you can use in your locations. Let's start with Dr. Noel. Last word.
Okay, thank you very much. Actually, gusto ko lang i-plug the Icebox TBI. I just would like to inform everyone na tapos na po yung funding period ni DOST. Thank you very much, DOST Fisher. And I also would like to congratulate nga pala SICAD SOX, that is our RECID consortium. I do not know if SICAD SOX will lead to a kind of regional innovation alliance. So hopefully, doon tayo magtatapos. Kasi nga, yun nga, that's at least an implementation of the anong tawag natin dun sa framework ni Ma'am Bata Pasigi? Magic. So, we are really looking forward into that, na magkakaroon tayo ng Regional Innovation Alliance. So, congratulations, SICAD SOX, for being an EPIC awardee during the Fisher celebration of Fisher anniversary.
That deserves a round of applause. Congratulations. Frei?
Okay na. Iano ko na lang, I'll just echo Attorney Giselle's promotion kanina. So we actually have the Public Data Analytics Program na the goal is to help LGUs draw value from their data. So we are conducting the Public Data Analytics workshop. So ang output po nito is every LGU will have your very own data strategy. Kasi yun yung important first step. You have your data strategy, your data audit. So if you're interested to have that, please reach out to Attorney Giselle or to me, or kung ayaw nyo sa amin, ayaw nyo sa Layertech, we also have 7 university partners, Luzon, Visayas, Mindanao. Pwede namin kayong i-direct sa kanila. Just let us know.
Carl?
So we always say AI solutions should solve human problems. So dun pa rin babagsak. It's what things can we use to serve people better, and let's not try and implement AI systems just for the sake, and then people don't use them anyway. So always think about the human problems that we can be solving.
Thank you.
Yes. So for me naman, I think what's best is the curiosity of each and every one of us, especially sa yung mga nasa LGU, yung sa ano, is curiosity. Bakit? We have to have curiosity so that we can find processes that we can streamline within our local government, as what we do in our software development. So we consult with clients and we identify their business process, and we help them streamline. For me myself, I'm curious about their business process, and I want to streamline their processes as much as possible. Same with our LGUs, same with our partner businesses. We want to streamline. We want to have that curiosity of what projects can I implement inside so that it would help streamline the processes within our local government units or even within our departments.
All right, thank you very much. And it's very inspiring really to hear the members of the panel today all talking about how, number one, it can be done. But to share, we need to understand and we need to do the hard work because it just doesn't happen overnight. And money is not an excuse. All right, so again, thank you very much to my panel, Jumel, Carl, Frei, and Dr. Noel. Thank you very much to the people in the audience who asked questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, dear. Our moderator to our panels, we would like to request you to please prepare, since we're going to give certificates and plaques of recognitions to each and every one of you. For the giving of our plaques, we would like to respectfully request the Vice Mayor, the Honorable Erlinda Araquil, to please be on stage, as well as Sir Christian Valina Chu and the President of NICT, Sir Jess.
Right, once again, maraming salamat po sa ating moderator and panelists. And I believe marami pa tayong, it's a very fruitful discussion. So pwede po natin ito ipagpatuloy. Diyan po sa likod natin, we have a meeting area.
Yes, so we have a meeting room for that one. I would like to personally call it a room for improvement.
Yes.
Diyan po sa likod.
So if you have questions still, clarifications, suggestions, ayan, pwede po natin tanungin pa ulit ang ating mga panelists dyan po sa...
Okay, of course, to give our appreciation, of course, ang ating pong plaque of recognition is given to our keynote speaker. Palakpakan po natin, Attorney Giselle Batabasige. The same plaque of recognition is also given to our moderator. Palakpakan din po natin, Mr. Jose Marie Mercado.
The Vice President for Technology of ULAC Digital Corporation. The same plaque of appreciation is also given to Mr. Carlo Javier.
The same plaque of appreciation is also given to Ms. Frei Sangil. And syempre to completing our panelists, the same plaque of recognition is also given to Dr. Noel Gunay. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give a big round of applause to our keynote speaker, moderator, and our 4 panelists for our track 1. Grabe, parang punong-puno na yung araw. Isang track pa lang pala ang natapos ng ating MindaCon 2025. Our tracks 2 and 3 will continue right after our lunch since as much as we want to continue this fruitful conversation, it is better to think with your stomach full.
But before that, before our lunch proper,
yes, of course. Since we are talking about digital development promotions, allow us, of course, to introduce to you as well. And before that, we would like to request our esteemed delegates, you may now proceed to your seats. Maraming salamat po